Welcome to Shenkman Education. My name is Marty Shenkman. Topic of this video clip is owning a home in a revocable trust. Common chit-chat and even common advice is that a home should be owned in a revocable trust. And the rationale often for that is that the home can then avoid probate, because if it's a real property asset in your name and you die, you need the probate process for someone to be appointed as administrator or executor or executrix and get letters testamentary under state law to then transfer title of the home. There's some truth to that, and there's some things that's missing, and there's other options. The reality is that in estate planning, you really need to know your circumstances and the facts and your goals, because things can be different. So if you own a home in a revocable trust, yes, you will avoid probate. That could be a good thing. If you're looking to do Medicaid planning, it may need to be an irrevocable trust set up by a Medicaid planning or elder law attorney, which is a completely different concept. You don't want to use the wrong approach. Next point. Not every home should be owned in a revocable trust. Example, let's say you live in a high-tax state that has an estate tax like New York, and you have a vacation home in a state like Florida that has no estate tax. If you own that real property in Florida directly, yes, you'll need a probate proceeding in Florida. But on the other hand, as real property in Florida, that asset will not be subject to New York estate tax. So by putting the home, the vacation home in a non-tax state, into a revocable trust when you live in a high-tax state that has an estate tax, you may now be subjecting that home to an estate tax that would have been avoided. So just looking at avoiding probate is not really a sufficient analysis. Another point, if you're a surgeon or anyone worried about asset protection planning, you're worried about lawsuits and claims. If you own the home in a revocable trust that provides no asset protection, so if you are in a profession where you're worried about liability, or you're wealthy and you're a target for lawsuits and claims, you may be better off putting the home in an irrevocable trust structure so that it is not subject to the claims of your creditors. It's very common to find homes and vacation homes owned in, for example, spousal lifetime access trusts. Those are irrevocable trusts, and sometimes those trusts are formed in trust-friendly jurisdictions. Like if you live in California, your SLAT, as the acronym is for spousal lifetime access trust that owns your home, may be in Nevada. So there are a number of different options. Another points to consider. If you own a home in joint name with somebody else, on your death it passes to that person automatically. Doesn't require a revocable trust. Which approach is better depends on a lot of different circumstances. Another consideration, you may want to own your home if you're married as tenants by the entirety. It's a special form of joint ownership between spouses that under state law provides a measure of asset protection planning. It also avoids probate on the first death, not when the last of you dies. So to summarize, there are clearly advantages to owning a home in a revocable trust. There's also a number of circumstances where it's just not the right answer. And there's also options that, depending on your situation, may work better for you without the cost and complexity of a trust. Be careful when you hear any kind of advice or watch something online that suggests that there's only one answer. There may be a common answer, but it doesn't always work best for you. Everything depends on your goals and your circumstances. Thank you for joining me, and remember that everything on this video clip is for educational purposes only. Don't take any action without first obtaining appropriate professional guidance. Thank you.